explain to you ladies something. First of all, I see you in a comment on the Instagram, and I see y'all calling him a dirty old man. Why is you worried how dirty his man is? First of all, he's not singing to you young bitches. He's singing to me, bitch. Hello there, love bugs. Hello there, bellas. If you have not already done so, please remember to like, share to Facebook and or Twitter, subscribe, and visit uptopbeauty.com for these fly shades, super fly shades, and this chuggy lip. In fact, we have a promo deal where you can get these super fly shades and this chuggy lip for $25. Ooh, that's right. I'm giving y'all drug lords today. That's what I feel like. And if you are not already a part of this book club, please hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube. And for a small monthly fee of $5, you babies, yes, you can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. Now, let's talk about Smokey Robinson's Inside My Life with David Ritz. Ever since I can remember, Flossie and Five were fighting. Now, you'd think that disturbed me deeply, but I don't believe it did. Even though Daddy moved out when I was 3, my parents handled it with such wisdom, carefully covering me with such love that I survived their divorce with few scars. You didn't break our marriage, Daddy would remind me, so don't try and fix it. He made sure I didn't take the blame. Now, I love situations like that. That tells me that both parents are civil-minded and very mature. We don't have to leave this relationship with resentment, hate, and jealousy, because we do have a child. And we do love our child. So let's be civil. It turns into a competition between the parents after a while, you know, because the relationship didn't work out the way that the parents thought it would work out. Now they're being vindictive towards each other and the child is suffering. Okay, your father didn't pick you up on Sunday like he said he would. So now he wants to pick you up on Monday. Now I'm going to make sure that you're unavailable on Monday. And that'll teach him to make sure he do what he say he going to do. Not considering the fact that the child really doesn't care what day his father picks him up. He just wants to see his father. He made sure I didn't take the blame. The problem between her and me and the foolish things we did, I wrote 30 years later, inserting this theme in a song. Haven't got a thing to do with love between me and my kids. Your father drinks, your father's crazy, but he loves you mightily, Mama would say. Flossie's always on my case, claimed Five. I can't get along with the woman, no way. But that doesn't mean she's not a fine mother. Boy, she loves you like nothing else in the world. Even after their divorce, they supported each other when it came to me. See, that's beautiful. In truth, Flossie could be overbearing. She was also too intellectual for Five. Daddy wasn't dumb, far from it, but his learning was limited. While Mama never stopped seeking knowledge, their marriage was a mismatch. And even though I was in the middle, I was always at the receiving end of their devotion. I never lacked for love. Colorful language was an early stimulation for me. I was verbal from the get-go. By age 1, I was talking. Walking came later, but I made do. When I was still in a walker, Mama would send me to Mr. Henry's corner store to buy her cigarettes. Oh, Clarence, wait a minute. Clarence. Sherman. Victor, Louise, Jeffrey. You say what? By age 1, I was talking. Walking came later, but I made do. When I was still in a walker, Mama would send me to Mr. Henry's corner store to buy her cigarettes. Okay, hold on. Hopefully, Smokey Robinson is saying that he was in a walker until he was, I would hope 3 years old at the minimum, 4 years old. Okay. Now, I was raised in a neighborhood on Capitol Hill back in DC where, all the neighbors knew each other. Basically, the neighbors could look out their window and watch me walk to the store, the hole in the wall, and it was literally called the hole in the wall. But the hole in the wall and walk back. So I could see maybe 2, 3 years old. Okay, and I'm very much so pushing it. Okay, but it can happen then, and I know if it's plausible in the 70s, the early 70s, I know it's very plausible way back then. Okay, because in the early 70s, people would still have their door open, and sleep at night with their door open. Okay, or unlocked. Let me say that. But Smokey, I don't know. I think you might be reaching with this one, Smokey. I'm sorry. I just can't see it. I just can't see that. And then if you're in a walker at 3 years old or 2 years old, why didn't you say so? David Ritz, see you up to the bullshit, David Ritz. When I was still in a walker, Mama would send me to Mr. Henry's corner store to buy her cigarettes. If there was any change, she let me use it for ice cream. First time, there wasn't any change. I was slick enough to convince Mr. Henry to run a tab. Little by little, my little bill got bigger. What is this? Mama wanted to know when Mr. Henry finally told her what she owed. Junior said it was all right. Junior, Henry, don't tell me you're taking orders from a baby boy. That baby boy's pretty convincing. Flossie, you try to resist them. Mama tried, and Mama succeeded. Both my parents were storytellers, tireless talkers, and it's no wonder I turned out a writer. For the first 10 years of my life, I was a happy kid, wildly in love with anything to do with cowboys and music. Strange combination, maybe so, but that was me. I loved the Cowboys, and I even loved their sidekicks, Hopalong Cassidy and Lucky, Roy Rogers and Gabby Hayes, the Lone Ranger and Tonto, the Cisco Kid and Poncho, and my favorite, that would be NayRob's favorite, Buffalo Bob and Howdy Doody. These were my heroes. I had my hats, my toy guns, my cowboy boots, and soon, thanks to my Uncle Claude, I had my name, Smokey Joe. And that's how he got the name Smokey. Wow. Okay. I'll accept that. I don't know why I thought Barry Gordy named him, but I'll accept that. We lived in a house on Belmont Street, one of those 2-story jobs. That was plenty big. This was on the north end of Detroit, an old Jewish neighborhood turning black. When Flossie and Five brought our home, the area was nice, several cuts above the raw ghetto. When Flossie and Five divorced, Mama kept the property. Jerry had a family of her own, and when Rose Ella was 18 and I was 4, she also left. That meant Mama and I were alone. The upstairs flat was rented out to the Cook family. In our part, 3 bedrooms were occupied by boarders, the 4 shared by me and Mama. I felt like an only child, got loads of attention. Flossie had some boyfriends, chiefly a tall, thin dude called Bones. But Bones didn't bother me. I was Mama's main man, and she lavished love on me like no one else. You gotta watch them only boys and them baby boys, because them mothers be giving them baby boys so much attention that they require more than usual. Hence why they need a whole bunch of biatches. Daddy whipped me only once. After I'd seen a Tarzan movie, I was so excited that me and a buddy started wrestling with butcher knives. What the fuck? I fell and sliced my elbow on a rock. Daddy spanked me good, not for the wrestling, but for playing with knives, and then rushed me to the hospital for stitches. Both my parents were powerful protectors. Mama was especially watchful over me, yet ever since my birth, she was never completely well. High blood pressure plagued her. She was a heavy woman, maybe 200 pounds, and also smoked. In those days, few folk knew the damage cigarettes were doing. She was often tired, needed lots of rest, and sometimes got so sick I'd be scared. Despite everything, though, Mama drudged on. For a while, she was a maid at the Leland Hotel. I'd tag along and help, sticking mountains of sheets and pillowcases in the big laundry basket. Mama also sold corn whiskey to neighbors right out of the house. Our home was always filled with what we called niggerkin, friends close enough to be family. There was also another cast of characters, an endless parade of people passing through our house. Folks Mama might be trying to help. Junkies, whores, drunks. The junkies would be scratching themselves and nodding out. The whores would be strutting, but the drunks were the most pitiful, peeing on themselves, talking to folks who weren't there and looking to fight. It was wild. Down at Papa's place, the Penn boys gave me another view of things, raw and funny. Cats like Shorty and Hemp, who looked like an old prize fighter with a smashed-in nose and cuts all up his cheek, were part of my life until they died. At the same time, my upbringing was righteous. Mama was a churchgoer, a choir member. She'd be there Sunday and during the week as well. Naturally, she dragged me along, although as a child I felt close to God. In Mama's Baptist sanctuary, the sisters were fired up, shouting and shivering with such spirit that I grew frightened. Picture Detroit in the winter of 1946. Snow falling from a pale pearl gray sky, a bitter winds blowing, and everywhere you look, Packards and Studebakers are slowly crunching down the slushy streets. That 6-year-old me, oblivious to the weather, skipping along, going to play with my pal Richard Ross, who lives on Boston Boulevard, just a block over from Belmont. Hey, Rich, I smoke. Who's the guy? Cecil. Where you from, Cecil? Just moved from Buffalo. Let's go play in the rabbit field, Rich suggests. The three of us hop over to Oakland Avenue where we run around a vacant lot overgrown with weeds. Want to see my new house? Asks Cecil. Why not? That's it. Points to a beautiful mansion next to the field. Come on in. I approach the huge house hesitantly. Once inside, I'm awestruck. Oil paintings, velvet tapestries, silk curtains, mahogany cabinets filled with ornate objects of silver and gold. Man, I've never seen nothing like this before. We tiptoe down a long hallway, following the haunting strains of beautiful piano music. Who's playing? We poke our heads into the music room, and I'm amazed. Seated behind the baby grand is a baby herself, singing like an angel. That's my sister, Aretha, says Cecil Franklin. What does your father do? I ask. Preach. His daddy's Reverend C.L. Franklin. Rich remarks. He's famous. Aretha's only 3, and with her are her sisters, 8-year-old Irma and baby Carolyn. That's how I met the Franklin family. Cecil's been my buddy all my life. So has Aretha. I fell in love with her when she was 7, but that's another story. He doesn't go any further than that. Now, David Ritz, you know you did us real good with that second Aretha Franklin book. That first Aretha Franklin book, oh, you was up to the bullshit because you knew Aretha Franklin was up to the bullshit. Now, if we read this book and you ain't giving us nothing juicy, the ninja, we gonna have a problem. My own debut performance took place between Detroit and Memphis At age 3, World War II was happening and the train was jammed with soldiers. Me and my mom were on our way to visit Grandma. I was an outgoing little guy, strolling up and down the aisles, singing to myself. The army cats thought I was cute. They'd give me oranges and apples, picking me up on their laps, saying, "This is my man. Sing, little buddy," someone requested. That's all I needed to hear. Jelly, jelly, jelly. I sang in my squeaky voice. Approximation of Billy Eckstein. Jelly stays on my mind. Drove my mama crazy. Drove my daddy stone blind. Cats cracked up. Mama was embarrassed. "What you doing, Junior? Singing that song?" "We like the way he sings," said the soldiers. But by then, Mama was hurrying me back to my seat. "Hurry, Mama," I begged her when I saw these kids on stage trying to sing. "I want to go up there." We were at the Michigan State Fair and I wasn't any older than 6. "What you need to go up there for, Junior?" "'Cause I want to sing." "Well, if you want to sing that bad, I do." And I did. Sang Ragtime Cowboy Joe until the folks cheered so loud I got scared, but I loved it. And so did Mama. Afterwards, we learned a man had made a record of it. And don't you know that Mama took that record home and proudly played it over the phone for everyone she knew. Mama had an old upright at home, and I'd be banging on it, figuring out simple melodies and chord combinations. Didn't know what I was doing, even though I was doing then what I do now, looking for ways to express myself. As a kid, though, my favorite expressions were still those spoken by the cowboys, my mumble-mouthed heroes. My Western obsession grew until I was telling everyone that when I grow up, I was going to be a cowboy. Mama, who planned for me to be an educated professor, started worrying. Then she got an idea.